Another day, as you can see, we're nicely covered in, the roof is up, and we're going to be starting off with all our LGS works like we spoke about in the first episode of this. Now this process basically involves filling up all these areas between the posts with light gauge steel that will be arranged in a certain manner to, you know, give you the spaces for your doors and windows. Initially I mentioned using black steel or iron pipes, but the LGS can actually do that by itself. You don't need to cut out any of these voids. You can use the LGS itself to shape out the spaces for the windows and for the doors, and that is what we're going to be doing today. Let's take a quick tour and see how light gauge steel works. So on this side, you can see we put in our LGS frames in between the walls, and this is really sturdy. You can see it's not going anywhere. It's really sturdy. It's not going anywhere. It's really tight. So we bolted these down onto the frames with a track and a track on the bottom, also bolted down into the concrete, and then you have your two studs standing. That gives you the reinforcement. What else is going to go on into this? That we're going to connect all of these to ensure that it's a really sturdy frame. Now moving on to how the LGS works and shows you how you can create windows. You can see the same setup here, but then what we do is that we split it to create spaces for our windows, and this is just good enough space and works really well with our casement windows that we're going to be putting into a space like this. You can see how that works really well. Now moving on to another space. This is another space, same setup, but you can see how that window has also been shaped out with the LGS. Now once all of this is done, we now start to run all our electrical through these pipes into the space, throughout the entire space, before we now start to sandwich it.
Now this LGS process that you see that we're doing here can also be carried out with wood, but because we do not have good wood in Nigeria, to be frank, it is important to utilize, of course, materials that are probably longer lasting than wood would be. Now, let me show you, or let me tell you what a difference between light gauge steel and wood would be. Basically, one would be the fact that the light gauge steel is inert. It doesn't react to anything. It also does not have the downsides of wood, meaning that it's easy to spoil. It has, it's prone to pests, fireproof, stuff like that. Or it's not fire resistant, that's wood. Basically, the idea is that we utilize materials that will give the build, even though temporary, ensure that it will last the test of time.
So you can see what we have over here, same setup, same thing. This is an even bigger space. You can see how the LGS or the light gauge steel has been arranged. These are just simple aluminum profiles, 60 by 60, that you can arrange. It all depends on how you arrange them. Individually, they are all very flimsy. You know, individually they're very flimsy. But then when you put them together, they turn into this really sturdy. You know, this hasn't been tied in properly. We still have a beam coming on top, but really sturdy. You know, once you start to connect them together and put the inline in, then it's not moving, it's not going anywhere. We'll show you how that looks once we've done that. And then you can see here, being a toilet, you have a different size of window here. So you can shape them to whatever type or size of windows that you want. And over here, we're doing what is a door, you know, 750mm door for the security area. You can see the door area here. We'll have the lintel here probably at 2.1 meters.